Hi guys.
We are back.
Back at it again.
Yep, the Finessology podcast. We're excited to come back at you guys. We have Nutrition 101 today and blended families we're going to
Yes.
discuss.
Yep. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Farrah, bring
so-
us into nutrition.
Yes. So we're just going to go on the very, very basics of nutrition, kind of the breakdown of macros, and then pretty much just a very basic, we'll kind of go into like dieting a little bit, but we're not going to go into anything too complex right now because we're going to obviously like have future episodes where we go into each and every lifestyle or diet that's out there. Mm-hmm. So,
and ways to calculate, different ways to calculate how much of each you should be taking.
Right.
So
yeah, we'll go into everything else that's like more in depth later on. But right now we're going to kind of talk about just basics of macros, because a lot of people don't know what macros are. I have a lot of people that are like, what are macros? And Dustin jokes and he's like, macaroni and cheese, like 7 years with me. He still doesn't know what macros are. No, it's fine. But so macros are your carbs, protein, and fat. And those are what make up your calories. And so there's 4 calories per gram of protein, there's 4 calories per gram of carbs, and there's 9 calories per gram of fat. And so if you're having, I don't know, for example, 6 grams of protein, you're going to take 6 times 4. So that is 24 calories. So that's kind of how it works. There's different makeups of like your carbs, your protein, fat, what they do. Do you want to share a little bit of that with what carbs do versus what protein does?
So carbs are your energy form. So carbs are your quick, fast energy. It's what you take when you want something. Like if you're going to the gym, you can take some maltodextrin. Gives you quick energy versus your fats, which is going to be more of your long-term energy. Your body stores that a little bit better than carbs. Your muscles release glucose, which is a carb. It's just quick. Mm-hmm. Proteins are structural. So they help with the development and the formation of your muscles. Yes. So that's pretty much the basics of what those are.
Yeah, they have so many different roles in the body, and we could talk about it probably for a good hour of what each one does. But that's the basics of it. And I have a lot of questions about why, especially with people that are doing keto, like we don't need carbs, we can cut them out, whatnot. But for the basic healthy person,
for brain function and stuff, carbs are great.
Yeah, that's kind of what your brain prefers, is to go off of glucose, and which is a carb. So we've got simple versus complex with carbohydrates, and simple is like your sugars, like your basic table sugars, candies,
cookies and brownies, all the things syrups, that I love the most.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
My gosh.
That's your simple sugar. So that's what we're going to utilize the quickest. That's why they say not to have a ton of carbs if you're just sitting all day. If you're super active, you want to have higher carb content or complex and simple.
Yeah, but complex are better for you. It's your rice, your sweet potatoes,
quinoa, breads.
Yeah,
all that
so
stuff.
There's a limit on how much sugar you should be taking in. I mean, it could jumpstart your blood levels. It leads to diabetes, insulin resistance. So there's a limit to how much sugar you should be taking. So as far as carbs, complex carbs are definitely the way to go.
Yes, they are slower digesting, and they will provide a more level energy. It'll keep your blood sugar level. So what happens when you have a blood or a blood sugar spike is you will gain weight. That's kind of what happens when you have that quick spike and then you have the quick drop. So we want to keep things a little bit more level and kind of stick to complex carbs. I mean, everything in moderation, but for the most part, we want to have the complex carbs. So those together are going to make up your calories. So keep in mind, you guys, when I'm talking about macros today and having a balance, and we're talking about dieting or lifestyle, it's going to be for your basic healthy human, somebody that doesn't have insulin issues like diabetes or PCOS or even cancers or injuries,
autoimmune
things like
diseases.
The autoimmune. Yeah, we're talking about somebody that doesn't have any of those health issues. So we will go into that in further episodes because there's not a one size fits all. Like there's different things for everybody, but right now we're just going to talk about like the basic average human. So, so anyways, those make up your calories. That's what builds your calorie structure. And so I have a big question all the time. I think this is one of the biggest questions out there is it's like, do I count my calories or do I count my macros or do I count both? And basic science is calories in versus calories out. So if you are intaking more calories than you're burning, then you're going to build. You're going to be in a calorie surplus. You're going to build muscle. You can build fat. If you are taking it, or if you're burning more calories than you are taking in, that's called being in a deficit. That's when you're going to lose. You're going to lose weight, or you could lose muscle. You're just going to lose at that point. So,
and there's definitely a lot more that goes into that. That's just like the basic of it. But and for a typical person, like if you're burning less calories than what you're taking, let's just say in a perfect world, I'm burning more calories than what I'm putting in, then I'm going to lose weight. But that's not necessarily what happens in every person.
Right. Everybody's
so
different.
If somebody's going to starve themselves, they're not necessarily going to lose weight. Some people will hold on to what they have left. I mean, after a long period of time, you're going to start losing, but not in a healthy fashion. But calories in versus calorie out, that it's just like in a perfect world, that's what that means.
Yeah, and basically what happens is when you're in a deficit for a long time, so you're taking it. So say you're only eating once a day, or you're only eating so many calories every day, you'll probably lose a ton of weight at first. But what's going to happen is when you lower your calories, your metabolism will go the same exact way. Like it'll start to crash, and so it's going to require less fuel to function because your body wants to survive. So it's in survival mode. That's when you hear survival mode. So it's going to start to adapt to that low calorie. And that's why people start to store. You know, it's not because they've been in low calorie, but basically they don't have anywhere to go. So if they have 100 extra calories, they're going to start storing fat.
Yeah, you have to have brain power. You have metabolism that's happening. And as far as metabolism, there's so much that goes into metabolism.
Yep.
I mean, scientifically, we could go into that forever. I love talking about it, but we won't go into it today. But there's so much happening in the body that you think that you're not taking in as many calories and you're going to lose weight. You're starving yourself. That's not necessarily what's going to happen. Your body's going to start shutting down. Right.
Exactly. And also that, like on that same subject, most people don't know how much they're really eating. So when they say, you know,
it's so true.
I'm cutting this out and I'm doing this and I'm barely eating, and then they're still gaining weight, well, they're probably not taking into account like the bites of macaroni and cheese that they had there from their kids' lunch, or, you know, I don't know.
The 3 Pop-Tarts I ate this morning.
The
along with
Rockstar that has 240 calories, you know. People don't really, on average, I don't want to say everybody, but on average, people don't know what they're taking in. So maybe they're eating once a day, but maybe that one meal is 2,000 calories, you know, and maybe they're not very active. So I feel like no matter what lifestyle that you are following, if it's keto, if it's vegan, if it's paleo, I don't care what it is, macros, know your macros, at least at first, because, and this is kind of where it sounds a little counterintuitive. I obviously write diet plans. I write meal plans. I help you guys with your macros, but I'm going to tell you guys to stop dieting. Stop it. Stop dieting. And what I mean by that is if you can't stick to something for more than 3 months, then
it's not a lifestyle.
It's not a lifestyle. So if you're doing like one of these like fad diets that's, I don't know, what's a fad diet? Like the egg diet, or
there was like the carnivore diet. There's the Atkins diet. There's what's the celery juice diet?
The celery juice diet. Like if that's something that you're doing for a minute and you know how to transition out of it, you know how to reverse diet out of it, great, do it. You have somebody that's walking you out of it. But if you're doing that on your own and you think you're going to do that for the rest of your life, what are you going to do when you go to birthday parties, weddings, like anything really? Like you're just going to drink your celery juice? That's not.
I'm a big fan of intuitive eating. It's hard to stick to. It's hard to read your body and to understand what things that you need. But if you can understand what good proteins are to eat, and how much to take, what good carbs are to eat, and then how much to take, everything in moderation, and fats as well. I mean, there's different types of fats, and we can go into more detail on that in future episodes, but explaining the difference between butter and all the different oils. And if you can have just a a little bit of knowledge on the different types of food that you can consume, then you'll get a better understanding of how to intuitively eat.
Right.
So I did intuitive eating after I had my daughter, and it was really good because I'd sit down and I'd look at food and I'd be like, what sounds good? Like, I'm not going to sit and binge.
Right.
What sounds good to me? And I can choose between all the food items that I had.
And you never restricted yourself.
No, and I didn't restrict myself.
If she wanted cake, she'd have cake.
Yep, I'd have a cookie during the day, but I limited how much I would eat. Now, granted, you'll have cravings. Everyone has hormone imbalances. Your day changes, and it's hard to stick to something like that. But if you can really focus on listening to your body, if you're having chocolate cravings, your body's maybe needs magnesium. If you're starving, if you're starving at night after you've eaten dinner, you probably didn't drink enough water.
Right, you might be thirsty.
Yeah,
like there's so many different things, and food is comforting. Food is like a drug. It really is. It releases the same chemical in your brain that a drug does. So it's addicting and it's amazing.
Sugar is terribly addicting. It's like the minute that you eat a bite of sugar, you cannot stop. I suffer from that tremendously. So intuitive eating is one that I really have to work towards.
Right.
But I really strongly, that's one of the best things I could advise people to do, because it's not a diet. You're not restricting yourself, but you are just thinking consciously about what you're putting in your body.
Exactly. And what I do when I do meal plans for people, I do macros for people. I've had so many people that have been with me for a long time that feel bad when they don't need me anymore. Honestly, guys, at the end of the day, that's my goal for you. Like, of course, I want my business to run. I want your money. But at the end of the day, like, I didn't start this for money. I mean, obviously, you guys know my prices. Like, I don't do that portion of what I do for money. I came into this industry wanting to change it because I was so sick of cookie cutter coaches that give you the same plan over and over and over again, and they recycle it and they send it to the same people. And I was a victim of that. And
so
yeah, I mean, we've all, like, anybody that's been in that industry has probably come across that. And I didn't want to be that kind of coach. I wanted to actually put my knowledge into it. I wanted to customize things. I want things to be easier for you guys. But my biggest thing with doing meal plans is teaching you portion sizes and teaching you about your bodies. I have so many people that are like, that's too much food for me. I mean, I've tried it for this amount of weeks. Okay, well, you're getting to know your body. Like, that's okay if it's not, or that's too much food for you. Like, try it for a little bit. Learn serving sizes. Like I always recommend, weighing your food at first, measuring your food, asking what your food is cooked in when you go out to eat, all of those things, plugging in your macros. But I don't want you to do that the rest of your life. I want you to learn and pay attention and get to know your body. And that way you can do it on your own, and it's a lifestyle. So that's what I love about flexible dieting and macros. And I fell in love with Lane Norton on, obviously on a platonic scientific level, because that's something that he brought to this industry. And flexible dieting is amazing in that way, because flexible dieting isn't eating pizza and cookies all day long, because that wouldn't fit your macros. It's having a healthy balance, but knowing if you eat a piece of pizza, it's not going to ruin your diet. It's not going to ruin your muscles. You make it work, and then you are mostly eating nutrient-dense food. Competing is a sport. Yeah. You have to get a little crazy and extreme when it comes to competing.
And restrictions,
right?
Just like anything else.
And you can do flexible dieting when you compete, because it really is calories in versus calories out. There's some ins and outs.
A little bit more. Being a little bit more strict.
Right. But it's going to get to the point where it's pretty strict no matter what when you're competing. So I'm not talking about competing, but in just basic life, doing what you're doing, flexible dieting is great. Start there, move to intuitive eating. Before Alex practiced intuitive eating, she was competing. She was tracking things. She was getting meal plans from coaches. And so she got to know herself, just like me. Like, that's where I started. I got to know what worked for my body and what didn't work, and those are the biggest things. Like, you get to know what works and what doesn't work when you do things like that. So
and starting nutrition, it's scary, just because, one, you don't know your body.
No, yeah.
And two, there's so much to it. There really is so much to it. But when you start, and like Farrah said, if you start weighing out your food at first, right now, I don't have to weigh out my food because I know portion sizes.
Right. You don't have to do it the rest of your life.
Yeah. And it was scary the first year, but starting a new goal, everybody, I know how hard it is to start. start eating healthy. I understand.
It's the worst
I mean,
at first.
as a competitor, I'm up and down with it too. I have really bad off seasons. I have really good off seasons. It just kind of depends. And I understand how hard it is.
Life takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just encourage everybody just to start. Give
Yep.
it a good 3 months of understanding what foods are healthy, serving sizes, portion sizes.
Right.
And
Reading labels.
Yep,
Always read
reading
the labels. Yeah.
and just consciously understanding what you're putting in your mouth. And it's going to take work, but with any goal and any habit that you have, it's always going to take work. So I encourage you, it's really hard at first. I totally understand. But once you start it and once you figure it out, it's just going to click, like just a light bulb's going to go off and you're going to be like, wow, that was not as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
And now it's a lifestyle.
It's literally like, I've always used this. And my clients will remember, it's like brushing your teeth. Nobody really wants to brush their teeth. Like, they don't really think about it. They're not like, I know.
Like, I do it anyways though.
Right. Like, nobody is like, I can't wait to brush my teeth. Like, nobody gets super excited about it. I know that you go through phases, like maybe like with the gym where you get excited. That's going to fade, but you're always going to have to do it. You're always going to have to eat healthy. And that's the way I look at it. It's just like brushing your teeth. That's my life. Ever since I changed my mindset to that, I got it from a friend years ago, and I can't remember who it was. I need to figure it out so I can give them credit. It was probably a good 15 years ago, but ever since then it clicked in my head. Like, this is just what I do. I eat nutrient-dense foods. I have treats every now and then when I feel like it. I get back to my life the next day. And that's just that's how it goes.
But
so
it helps you live a better life.
Yeah.
You have a better longevity. Your joints don't hurt. I mean, I can always tell when I've eaten a lot of sugar,
a ton of sugar.
Too much sugar.
I wake up swollen.
Yeah, and I can't get off the floor. My joints hurt. So, like, as a competitor, as somebody who's been in nutrition, like, I understand the ups and downs of wanting all of this, what your body feels like when it's healthy. When I drink a gallon of water consistently every day, I sleep better, my digestion's better. But do I do it often? No. It's so hard. I understand, guys.
Yeah.
But when I do it and I know the outcomes and
you start to get addicted when you
what
feel
I get
it.
from it.
Right.
I'm like, wow, like it's amazing.
Right. Just make it a habit, and it'll come second nature after that. And you're gonna go in and out of motivational, where you're motivated, you're doing it every day. Maybe you're overdoing it, and then you get a little burnout, and then you have to take a break, and that's life too. Like, it's okay. Just realize you're gonna get back to it, and everything's gonna be fine. Real quick before we switch subjects, I do want to talk about like the importance of counting calories or counting macros. So, big difference. I don't know if you've heard about the guy that did the Twinkie diet.
No.
Did you ever hear about this guy?
Is it kind of like the one who did the diets off of like McDonald's and stuff?
A little bit, yeah. This guy was super severely unhealthy. And he decided, but he's also a scientist. I need to find that article so I can actually cite the article and give you guys some credentials, but Google it. This guy basically consumed 1,200 calories every single day for a certain amount of time, only in Twinkies. All he did was eat Twinkies, okay? I can't remember the amount of weight that he lost, but it was insane because he dropped his calories to 1,200. And
27 pounds.
27 pounds, okay. Okay, so maybe not super insane, but
that's still a good amount of
it's good.
Weight.
And it leveled out. He was having some health issues. There was all kinds of things, and all of those things had leveled out, and he was, in a sense, healthier, right? They don't really go into super clear details on that, but nothing but Twinkies. And so people think, okay, calories in versus calories out, which, yes, at the end of the day, that's what it is. You're in a surplus, you're going to build. You're in a deficit, you're going to lose. But you have to decide what you want to build and what you want to lose. Do you want to build fat? Because if you're in a surplus with Twinkies, that's what you're going to build. If you're in a deficit and you're only eating Twinkies, where's your protein in Twinkies? So protein, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of thermogenesis, but protein actually causes your body, thermogenesis means burning, right? Like you're actually burning calories when you intake it and you digest it. So, and that's the macronutrient that it's the only macronutrient that I think it's like 30% or something like that. It's really high. So that's why everyone says high protein, because when you are intaking it, it's rough, right? So your body has to take a lot of energy to break it down. So you're actually burning calories while you're not burning more calories. Like there's no such thing as a free food, but you are burning calories to break down protein. So protein is super crucial, right? Also, it's going to help you with lean muscle mass. And so if you're only taking in Twinkies, this guy probably lost a lot of muscle. You know, it doesn't say anything about that if I remember correctly. It doesn't say how much muscle composition he has. It doesn't say anything. I think it talked about maybe his cholesterol. But really, at the end of the day, when you're cutting your calories and you are, you know, if you're like eating a ton of calories and you're cutting them, you're going to lose weight. Like that's what's going to happen. So that's great.
It doesn't mean it's healthy, even though they
Doesn't
didn't
mean
go
it's
into
healthy.
detail
Yeah.
of micronutrients. So there's
Exactly.
a difference with macronutrients versus micronutrients.
Yeah,
So your macronutrients are the ones that Farrah talked about: your fats, your proteins, your carbs. Alcohol can also be considered a macronutrient. It's 7 calories per gram. That's why we limit alcohol in our diets when
Right.
we're really strict, because it's really high in calories. But your micronutrients are your vitamins and your minerals. If you are not intaking the right amount of RDI for vitamins and minerals, you could end up with scurvy. That's when you don't have enough vitamin C.
Yep.
Vitamin D. If you're not getting enough of that, that could cause a lot of issues.
Lots.
This person who had this, even though he's taking in less calories, is losing weight, he's not getting his intake of vitamins and minerals.
Right.
So what happens to your brain function? What happens to your body function? You're not going to have good enough metabolism, because a lot of these minerals are helping with your metabolism.
Right.
Where's your electrolyte content? You're not going to get any potassium, sodium. Your sodium potassium pumps aren't pumping in your body. Like there's so many things that happen if you're not taking in a nutrient dense diet.
And
so
I'm
even though he's
sure-
losing weight, yeah, that's a great study, but everything else could go down the crapper.
And I'm sure he hates Twinkies. Like,
I
would you
know.
not hate Twinkies after that?
Every 3 hours, guys, he ate Twinkies.
Yeah.
Every 3 hours.
It's awful. Like it was kind of
but
one
it was
of those
1,800 calories is what he took.
Right. And it was kind of one of those like revolutionary like studies that was released when this guy was like, see, it's all about calories. Well, okay. It is to an extent, but you need to have, like, if you have protein and fat in your diet, you're going to be nice and level with your blood sugar. You're going to have lean muscle mass. You're going to have great hormone function. It's endless. So you need to have a good balance of those things. Also, you guys, a big question that I've been asked is like MyFitnessPal, when you're plugging in your macros, why are the calories not matching? Always go by the macros, because the FDA has this thing where they'll go 10 calories above or 10 calories under. They can round it.
Yep, they round on supplement and nutrition facts labels.
Right. So always go by your macros as opposed to calories. Just a little tip. So pretty much that's it. Like just, know your macros. If you have a coach that's giving you meal plans, ask them for your macros. Ask them for your macros and your calories. Kind of see where you're at. Always ask questions. Always ask questions.
But we'll go into more detail on like what types of fats, the different types of fats you can be taking in, the different types of carbs you should be taking in, proteins, all that stuff. So we just wanted to give a little intro into the nutrition and see if you guys had any other questions or whatever you wanted to ask us on that.
Which we do have a lot of questions, but we have another subject. So we'll go into the other subject real quick, and then we can go to a little Q&A.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about blended families. So blended families are really popular nowadays, and I feel like it's more often than not. So Farrah and I both have blended families, and we both came from blended families, and we wanted to talk about our experiences and as being mothers and kind of what to expect and stuff like that from blended families. So my parents divorced when I was 3, so I haven't really known any different. So my dad got remarried, my mom got remarried. My dad is still remarried, so I have a stepmom and 2 stepsisters and a stepbrother. So I grew up with them not really knowing really any different, So with my children, I have 2 daughters and a stepson. Both of my daughters have different dads. So they don't know any different either since the time they were babies. We've been separated.
Yeah.
So, and Farrah, you have half siblings. You don't really have step.
Yeah. So no. So I am one of the, I feel like, rarities out there, and my parents are still together, and they're super crazy in love with each other, and the cutest people ever.
It's adorable.
They're super cute. But I have half brothers. So my mom had 3 boys before my dad came around, and then my dad had 1 girl before my mom came around. And so I think my brother, the closest one in age to me, is 9 years older, and same with my sister. So they're 9+ years older than me. And so I've watched the dynamic of step parents, you know, vicariously through them, but I don't know that experience of having a step parent. You know, I've only ever had my parents together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I pulled up some statistics, and I'm sure it's changed since the time that this was published, but it says 40% of marriages include one person who was previously married, and then 20% of marriages include where both were remarried. So me and my husband, we were both previously married and kids with priors. So we have a real distinct, like, blended family. I have 2 kids with 2 different dads, and then my husband has his son, and we came together. We don't have any kids together, but we wanted to talk about, like, different problems that arise from having blended families. So some of the stuff that I see in my family, we have sibling rivalry. So my oldest loves to be the best of the best, and she always competes with her stepbrother and vice versa. I never really had that with my family just because I was really young. All my siblings are a lot older than I am. So I was quite young, so I didn't really have any sibling rivalry.
Same.
But they compete for attention and they compete for dominance, and it's hard when you're bouncing back and forth. So we get my stepson 4 days out of the month right now with school and stuff like that, and it's hard when you come into a household and the kids that are here are, like, asserting their dominance. And they're like, this is my house.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, and it also depends on their personalities at the time, like how they're feeling. Most of the time they get along. Other times it's like pure chaos.
Yeah.
So another problem is attention. When Traeger, that's my stepson's name, when he comes, of course I'm wanting him to spend most of the time with his father because his father doesn't really get to see him. The other 2 girls are probably fighting for attention. It becomes really hectic. And the rule of thumb that I actually really like, and I wish that I would have abided by it, is don't have more kids than the number of people, the number of adults.
Don't be outnumbered.
So the weekends where we're outnumbered is still pure chaos.
Yeah.
Visitations is another problem. There's lots of disruptions for kids throughout the week. So my oldest bounces back and forth throughout the week, and then every other weekend we get our stepson every other weekend, and then my youngest just kind of bounces around whenever. We don't have a set parent schedule for the youngest one, so she just kind of goes whenever the other one's available.
Right.
But I mean, she has a personality where it doesn't really affect her.
She's chill.
She's very chill.
Yeah.
But I can tell it's a struggle. And when I was younger, I didn't have the visitation problem. So I think there was only maybe a year or 2 where I had to go back and forth with my dad. It was on Wednesdays. He would pick me up after modeling. Yes, I did modeling when I was younger.
Of course you did.
Yeah, and then every other weekend. But it was only like a year. It wasn't very long. So I don't really remember that being an issue.
You don't remember having, like, issues with that? Like, having to adapt to, like, a certain situation than another?
No, like, I don't remember it ever. So I try to put myself in the situation. I don't ever remember it being an issue. So I'd sleep over on Wednesdays. My stepmom would take me to school.
How old were you at this time?
Oh, I think I was in elementary. So I think I was 8.
Okay.
Maybe younger, 7 or 8. So it
didn't. You just thought of it like, this is what we do. Like,
yeah, it didn't really affect me.
Okay.
I remember.
That's good to know.
I do remember, like, feeling scared sometimes just because I was sleeping in a house that I didn't sleep in
right.
very
You
often.
weren't super comfortable with it.
But yeah.
Gotcha.
Another issue that I see a lot is the step-parent discipline. So when the primary parent is, like, giving orders, and I don't want to say orders in, like,
right,
but actually, like, trying to discipline parenting. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
The stepchild isn't wanting to listen because that's not their primary parent, and I see that a little bit. I mean, it's an issue, and I understand that.
Right. I would struggle with that. I'd be like, you're not my dad.
Right? Yeah. it's so hard.
Yeah.
And then another one that we also see is building a relationship with the ex-spouse. So Colby and I are lucky. I have a pretty good relationship with his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And we get along really well. And Colby gets along with my exes. So we haven't had too much of an issue there, but we've seen, it's crazy. I see dynamics where it's like the parents don't get along. And I'm like, why can't you get along? Like, it's about the children. It's not about you guys.
Bam.
Yeah.
Not about you guys. It's
not
about your
you
kids.
Guys. It's about the kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of the stuff that we see, it's so sad. Those
Yeah.
poor kids.
It's messy and
yeah, they're not the ones that chose to
No.
have the separation.
They love both parents. They love both sides.
Yeah,
Let them have some peace.
exactly.
Yeah.
So some of the ways to make it work is make sure that the kids, when they're going back and forth between the houses, make sure they're feeling respected, make sure they're feeling heard
Absolutely.
and loved and valued, and I don't know if I said appreciated.
Yeah.
So when we get our kids all together, we make sure we have all the kids together on the weekends. We make sure that they are being valued, that they're being heard, that they're being loved. I really do try to show the same amount of affection towards my stepson as I do my daughters. And I understand that sometimes it's hard. We get in autopilot and the weekend just kind of rolls and rolls and rolls. And since we don't get him very often, I try to usher him towards his dad a little bit more, to be
have
like,
them
here,
bond,
have some time, because he's always with my daughters. So find ways to make real life work together. So if you're trying to be the Disneyland family where you are doing fun things every weekend, that is not realistic.
Right. They're not going to know what to do when they don't have anything to do.
Exactly. Your kids don't need that. They need time with you. They need to have the real life experiences with you.
Creative time, imagination time.
Yeah. So the times where
boring time.
Yeah. The times where you're at home and you're doing things as a family instead of spending gazillions of dollars to go do extravagant things, that's the most precious time. And that's where kids understand that, okay, this is real life.
Yeah.
My expectations are, this is life, and life isn't Disneyland every other weekend. No. So we struggled with that a little bit, but it's gotten better.
Well, I think with you too, you have all youngins. Like they're all like the same. So Sailor's 3 and Traeger and Traeger's 5 and then Hensley's 6. So they're all so little and they're like energy. Like
so much energy.
When I come over, and get my lashes done at your old house, like I remember like a boy, boys are crazy.
They are
like and I was spoiled with Karsten, because Karsten, when he came into my life, he was 5 and he doesn't have that normal, like crazy boy, like energy. And he was just always chill, just a chill kid. So when I'm around other boys, like Traeger is like, he's a great kid. I'm not saying he's bad, but
Traeger
he's got
his dad
energy, like energy. Like it's insane. And boys are just that way. And then, that riles up the girls. And so they're just like chasing each other around, and it's crazy.
And then the emotions come out. So it's like we have the typical crazy boy and the typical emotional girls. So it is pure chaos.
I love it.
We have so much energy, so much and
it's so funny though.
Gosh,
it's the best thing ever.
Every other weekend.
Yeah. It's okay. Breathe.
We love the kids. We love them.
Yeah.
It makes it fun, especially when we take them out and we go hunting together and we go camping and stuff. Like those memories are fun to share.
Oh yeah.
Then the pure chaos is like, you can have chaos outside and it doesn't bother
fine.
me. It's not in my house.
Right.
Remember, I like clean stuff.
Yes. Go outside.
So another way to make things work are making sure that you have the same parenting styles. So I have been pushed by other people to do certain parenting styles but in my mind, I don't feel like they work in my household. So the way that I feel is Colby is the primary parent to his son, and I am the primary parent to my daughters, and we step in and be parents to the other children whenever we see fit. So if the parent isn't there, if it's like something that's going to cause harm to them or the other children, we will step in. But as far as parenting, we feel like each other are the primary disciplinarians for our own children.
Your own kids.
So, but we will step in whenever we need to.
Right.
But that works for us. That might not work for everybody else.
You have to find what works in your house, bottom line, and what the kids respond to. So, yeah.
So just find what parenting styles work for you and stick with it.
Right.
Make sure you set boundaries. Make sure you set limits. Make sure that the kids, when they walk through the door,
they know.
Because in each household, they're gonna have their own.
It's hard for them. They have to adapt, and it's hard. You'll see them be naughty, like when they get back. Well, they're not being naughty. They're trying to figure out life. Like they're trying to figure out how to adapt.
Well, they just spent a weekend with their father, who has their own set of rules. So when they come home, they're different. They have to transition.
They have to try to figure it out.
Yep. It's hard on them. It's hard on those little guys, but they bounce back really easily. And just if you have those boundaries set and they know that once they walk through the door, these are mom's rules and these are what I abide by, it makes things so much easier.
Totally. You have to stay routined and stay consistent. Just like with anything, with diet, nutrition, with kids, with anything, you stay consistent with them, and then it'll be fine. They'll adapt, you know.
I loved it. When my kids were young, I was routine mom the moment they popped out of my stomach.
Right.
Like
You have
they
to
had
be.
routine bedtimes.
Yep,
They
same,
had routine eating
same.
times. I could tell you when they were going to poop, when they were going to
Same.
pee, when they were going to
Yep.
fall asleep. I had routine, and
Yep.
I love it because it makes my life easier. I remember
Routine
as
is
a young
youth,
mom,
they thrive from routine.
Yeah. I remember as a young mom, I would have people say, well, let's go out and have fun and let's go do this on a Friday night. And
They
I'm like,
nap
I
at
have
this
to
time
be,
and this time.
yeah, I'm like, well, I have to be home at 6:30. I need to bathe my children.
I remember
need to
that
feed
with
them.
Sailor. We'd be like, let's go out, Alex. And we don't go out very much. But back when Sailor was a baby, we
Yep.
were all single and we are like, let's go out. And like, she has to go to bed at 7:00.
Yeah,
Every single
I
time.
had people who weren't parents were like, "That's stupid." And I'm like,
I know, yeah.
Like, it makes my life so much easier when
You
she
don't
goes to bed
know,
at 7
yeah.
and she wakes up at 7, and then like I know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
It's just my personality.
I'm the
I like
same
things in
way. And I am
control.
not a super, like, I'm kind of like sporadic, but with my daughter, I'm very routine. Like, we do the same things, the same times, every single day. She has a very strict routine.
Yeah,
And maybe
or
I
they
do
would
that
get
to
sick.
her because I'm not that way. Maybe I'm like, you're going to be that way. And plus her dad's that way, and that she's that
No, it just
personality.
makes
So
your life as a mom
It does.
or as a parent, sorry, so much easier.
right. Yeah.
Let's see. I just covered all those topics. So
Yeah.
that was great.
Like with my situation, I'll just go into that really quickly.
Yeah.
Like, Karsten came into my life when he was 5. He's now 13. My situation is so unique because that child is an angel. Like, to this day, he is an angel. Even if he did something wrong, he can like do no wrong to me because he's just such a good little person. Like, first of all, he's like oddly smart.
He's such
Yeah.
an adult. Like
It's insane.
yeah, he's
and
so
I mean, oh my gosh, he's like an encyclopedia. I used to get I get in little debates with him, and I'd get like, oh, dude, I'm right. And then he'd leave, and like an hour later, I'd like research it. I'm like, gosh, damn it.
damn it,
This
he's
freaking
right.
kid. Yeah, he is the smartest kid, but he's made it easy from day one. I came into Dustin and Kirsten's life as a single chick that never wanted to have kids. I was super focused on my life and school, and I fell in love with this child. Like, he is just like a huge blessing in my life. But he made it really easy, and
He's accepting of you.
he just loved me from the get-go.
Yeah.
He called me all different kinds of girls' names because Dustin had dated so many girls. But he loved me, and I loved him, and it was just it would make me look forward to being around him. But I will tell you, like, the honest truth, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, to go from being somebody that didn't have kids and then plan to have kids to having a child, even though he was an angel. Life just changes. Like, we had to like adhere to his schedule, and everything's around him, and then not only him, but then like his mother and like her family. And at first, like, I remember his mom didn't know what to think of me because Dustin, I think every guy, and even females, when they go through a divorce, they kind of go a little bit crazy and maybe date around a little bit. And Dustin had dated a lot, and so she was kind of like, okay, this one's not going to stick. They don't stick.
Yeah.
So at first, she wasn't super accepting of me being around Karsten, but then as we got to know each other, like, we kind of just like friendship fell in love with each other. Like, we just really liked each other. We got along really well. Like, we knew, like, hey, like, I knew that Karsten's mom was like somebody I could be friends with if we took everything out of the equation, we would be friends. And so we became that way, and we became really close. And that is like my advice to anybody. Like, try to be friends with your what do you call those?
The ex-spouse.
The ex-spouse, like your stepchildren's family. Like, it's just going to make things so much easier, or at least be civil. Like, just be civil and respectful, and respect their time with them, and understand that like households are going to be different, and try to be patient, communicate. Because that's what Karsten's mother and I did. Her name's Carly. That's what Carly and I did. And it's been great ever since. Her and I talk all the time. We're close. We can kind of co-parent together. It's insane. Like, I don't know how much Dustin loves that, but no, I think he likes it because at the beginning, when we weren't super close, he didn't like that because it puts him in the middle. And so now he doesn't have to deal with that. Her and I can just talk. And so it's been great, but Karsten was easy. He made things easy. I can imagine not having him at this point. Right. He's my little man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was put in that kind of situation when I was a while ago.
Yeah.
With a 9-year-old and not being a mother and not understanding how to
It's hard.
split your time with the person. Like, it's hard when you're not a parent.
You just don't realize what you're walking into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now as a parent, it's like, all right, now I understand like the love that you have for your children. And, you know, split families are really hard. Making sure that everybody feels appreciated. And like Farrah said, make sure that you can be friends with the other person's ex-spouse.
Or at least have communication.
Yeah, or just a level of respect.
Yeah.
Because it's not the kid's fault that the family was separated. And they're going to love both their mom and their dad.
Yeah.
They're just going to love them. And you can't feel jaded for them loving both of their parents.
You can't make them feel bad. You can't put that on them. Don't disrespect the other parent, even if you hate the other parent. Don't disrespect them to your children because it just hurts the child at the end of the day. Yeah. You know, that's one thing.
I love the relationship. So Colby's ex, her name is Haley, and it's so awesome to be able to go to Traeger's functions or
together.
We even had. There was one day that Colby and Haley's old friends were coming into town. Yeah. And Haley messaged Colby and is like, hey, can we do dinner? Yeah. And Colby felt really awkward. And I'm like, it's not awkward.
Yeah, like they don't know what to do, but they're like,
I'm like, I would love if me and my exes could get together and have like...
And share that with your child. Yeah.
Like we had a combined birthday party for Sailor, and it's so magical to be able to have...
It was cool to have everybody here. Yeah.
We had Karsten and his family, me and my family, and Sailor can see the whole family together as a whole dynamic, and she feels like...
She loves that.
Yeah, it's warming, and that's what a close family is. So... We had this dinner with Haley, and the friends came over, and they were really accepting of me. Yeah. We had Traeger, we had all the kids, we had the friends' kids. It was just this really cool dynamic. Yeah. And it's like the kids can see that adults can get along. Like, oh, adults can get along.
It's important.
Then I'm expected to be able to get along with my friends. You know, like if you can't get along with somebody, why am I supposed to get along with people at school? Like, you know.
Well, and that's like what I grew up with. Like my mom is so cute. She's the cutest lady. She's like the sweetest person on the face of this earth. But she would like let my mom's ex-wife, so my sister's mom, stay with us. Like she'd be like, come stay with us. Like come sleep over. Like we'll do cookies. Like my mom's just like super accepting and awesome. And
that's the type of person I would absolutely love it. Yeah. If Haley needed a place to stay, if Karsten needed a place to stay,
like,
you know?
Yeah. Like, dude, like Carly and I are like freaking tight. Like love you, girl. Love you. Because you're gonna watch this, Carly. I love you. But
right.
But yeah,
I love you, Carly, too.
Yes, yeah. But seriously, like
same with Mitch and Abby. Like if they needed a place to stay. Like
it's just animosity. There's no reason to make it difficult for your children and make it harder on them, because really at the end of the day, it comes back on them. Yeah. It's not about the parent. It's about that child and how they feel, and take yourself out of the equation. You know, that's the biggest thing.
And with blended families being pretty much the norm nowadays. Yeah. Like I just feel like adults need to understand how to act around their kids when it comes to the other person.
Yeah.
And just make it a family.
I agree. Make it a family. I agree. Yes. So there's that. I mean, you know, that's our experiences, and if you guys have more questions about that, we'd be happy to answer. But I know that there's a ton of people out there that deal with this all the time and struggle.
I found this on one of the websites that they don't call step parents. They call them bonus parents. I love it.
Karsten got me a cup that says bonus mom, and I
absolutely love it. I've never heard that before, so I'm a bonus mom.
Yes, I know. I love it. It's the best thing. So we do have some quick Q&A, just quick things. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Tips for healthy pregnancy before and after, and I have to give a shout out. Do you know Caitlin Thomas? She goes to Snap sometimes. She has a big booty and like the tiny waist. Yes. And she is the cutest thing.
You talk about these guys a lot, and I'm sorry, I am really bad, but I think I know
you know, because if you saw her, you'd be like, oh, that girl with the booty. Yeah. Anyway.
I probably have complimented her booty before.
Yes, I'm sure you have. And shout out because they're pregnant.
Yeah. Congratulations.
So they want to talk real quick, or they wanted to know about like health, like nutrition during pregnancy. Quick rundown. That was the first time in my life I didn't diet. I didn't track what I ate. I intuitively ate
a lot. Don't gorge yourself.
You're not eating for two. Say you're not eating for two. Just be diligent on having a good balance. And in regards to like, okay, I'm just gonna say this. Like I'm predisposed to like stretch marks, and my cute little tiny mom. You know, she got them from her first pregnancy. I was psycho about coconut oil, hydration, and just making sure I was hydrated, coconut oil wraps and like still exercising. I was a high risk pregnancy, so I couldn't exercise a ton. But walking. I made sure I was active every single day. And if I wanted Betos, I ate Betos. But I also was like super health conscious. So
and take your prenatals.
Yeah. And and girl, I'm not worried about you. You're freaking fit as crap, so you'll be fine. But just be intuitive and try to eat. You're still, 5 to 6 times a day. It's really easy to develop, what is it called? It's called diabetes when you're pregnant. What is it called? They test you for it.
Prenatal diabetes?
Gestational diabetes. There we go. Thanks, Casey. But yeah, so it's really easy for that to happen or to have hypoglycemia while you're pregnant. So make sure you're still eating very often. Eat a little bit more than you did. I can talk to you about it aside from this and kind of give you some tips, but really just make sure you're eating. Don't worry too much about dieting.
Just don't overdo your cravings.
Don't overdo
if
it.
You're craving ice cream every day, just limit
it. But don't stress, because it's the worst thing you can do for you and your baby. Get moving, do things, talk to your doctor, communicate. My doctor told my ass to sit in bed, and
that didn't work.
I tried. But I really did. Like, I had to go on walks and stuff just for my endorphins. So, but listen to your doctor and do what he says to do. But yeah, we'll talk, girl. Don't you stress.
I gained so much weight with Sailor. I look back and I'm like, what the?
But you,
it was worth it, though.
Bounce back real quick.
Fast,
yeah, you bounce back real quick.
Couldn't give up those donuts.
What other questions do we have? Your donuts. How do I know which diet to follow? Trial and error. And also talk to professionals. If you have what we talked about, like insulin resistance, diabetes, PCOS, autoimmune, any of those things, like
it's going to change.
Talk to a professional because you have to know kind of carbohydrates are kind of an issue in those things. And so
certain ones, yeah.
But remember, don't diet. Try to lifestyle it. If you like, there's a lot of people that love keto that they could do keto the rest of their lives. Like if that's a thing, then do it.
If it's keeping you to stay healthy,
yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, for sure. So kind of trial and error, really. Like just know what you like and then talk to a professional, hire somebody. And they can help you. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Stance on artificial sweeteners. I am good with them. Our guests are here. I am fine with them. I don't react with them. Some people do. Some people struggle with digestion. I know Alex does a little bit.
Struggle with digestion.
Yeah. Otherwise,
I stay away from the sugar alcohols. Those kill me.
Yeah. So, I mean, just get to know like what your body reacts to and what it doesn't. But honestly, they've done all kinds of studies. And if I had more time, I would kind of go into...
We'll talk more about that in an in-depth nutrition podcast for sure.
Right. But there's no conclusive studies that they're actually harmful to you. Yeah. So if you like them and you react well to them, then go for it. Okay. I think we have a ton of questions on nutrition, but we will definitely...
We're going to save that for the next podcast.
We will revisit those for sure. I got like a lot of good ones here we want to talk about, but
keep sending them in. Yes. We absolutely love it. It really helps us. And we just want to help you. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. That's all the things.
Okay. Wait, we need a quick affirmation.
Oh, daily affirmation.
Go. Bam.
So Colby asked me mine today, and mine is, I am proud of myself to be able to tell myself that I'm a fat effer. Whenever
that is not a good affirmation. No.
I put myself in check.
No.
That's a good affirmation. I put myself in check.
Okay, you can do some self-evaluation.
Yeah,
we'll go for that. But she's not fat, so. Okay.
Anyways, yours.
So mine. I don't even know what mine is. What is mine? I like that I can self-evaluate. Yeah. I constantly do that. I constantly where can I improve? What can I do? What goals can I set? I like that about myself.
We're self-evaluating now.
Self-critical, but it can be a good thing because then you always...
Bikini season's coming up.
Right.
We're not training for any shows right now, so we have to be kind of self-critical.
Right, so. Yeah. So, and then what else? I think that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys.
The Finessology... Finessology podcast. Yes, every Tuesday.
Did you have
subscribe? No. I don't know what just happened. I don't know. Okay. But subscribe, you guys, and like and rate us and give us feedback.
Yep.
And all the things.
Thanks,
okay.
Guys.
Bye. Finesse yourself. Have yourself.
I thought you were having a stroke.
I don't know what happened.